Do you keep running into the same problem, same argument in your relationship? Today we're going to tell you how you can change this negative cycle by learning 10 thinking patterns that are causing these repeated conflicts. We all know if you want the relationship to be successful, it needs to be a happy and safe place for the both of you. Then why don't we feel like we can help but argue sometimes? It's not like we want to argue. This is because our emotions get triggered by certain thought patterns, and that makes us act in a way that is unhealthy and harmful to the relationship. In other words, it's not the partner or the emotion that we need to change. And to be honest, you can't change your partner anyways. It is those distorted thinking patterns that you need to address to stop having those arguments and conflicts. In order to do that, you need to understand what those thinking patterns are. They're often unhealthy and dysfunctional, which causes low self-esteem, depression, and anxiety. This is basically how we think about ourselves and the world around us, so it naturally has a huge effect on our relationship.
So let's get right into the list of 10 common distorted thinking patterns. One quick note, it's perfectly normal if you find yourself relating to many of these patterns. These are all very common and many people experience them. So number one, all or nothing thinking. This one is sometimes called black or white thinking or polarized thinking. You see something all one way or all the other way and think in extremes without considering all the possible facts in a given situation. So you're convinced that you're either destined for success or doomed to fail, or that something is completely right or completely wrong, or people are all good or all bad. This kind of distortion is often unrealistic and unhelpful because most likely reality is in between two extremes. Examples for all or nothing thinking patterns are women don't like me, all men can't be trusted, or no relationship ever works out for me.
Number two, labeling. Labeling is an extreme form of overgeneralization, and you make a judgment to berate yourself or others. You classify people or yourselves in a negative way following one bad experience, regardless of the qualities that you or they might have. It can often cause misunderstanding or underestimation of your partner. Some examples are, she isn't showing me affection, so I'm unlovable. Or he prioritizes rest over doing house chores, so he's lazy. Or even, we argue often, so we're toxic.
Number three, overgeneralizing. You assume that one negative event means all future events will have negative outcomes. You face a setback in one thing and jump to the conclusion that there is no good in anything at all. This kind of thinking doesn't give credit to our potential for success in other parts of life and possibly belittling your partners too. Some examples are, we had a heated argument, so this relationship is a failure. Or, he left a conversation, so he doesn't care. Or, all my exes left me, so nobody loves me.
Number four, emotional reasoning. When we mistake our feelings for facts, we allow our emotions to dictate reality. If you feel a certain way, then it must be true. You let your emotions decide what they think is the truth, without paying attention to the facts in front of you. The problem is, feelings are often unreliable. Examples for this thought pattern are, I feel worthless, so I am worthless. Or, I feel like I'll never find love, so I'll always be alone. Or, I feel like she doesn't love me anymore, so she doesn't love me.
Number five, should statements. Often, this can be spotted by listening to the exact word should. It could be said in the form of what you should do, what you have to do, or what you must do. If you have tendency of having this disordered thought pattern, you might always think that you could have done things in a particular way in the past and get disappointed, or feel like you must have get things done in a particular way and you're not meeting your own expectations and get frustrated. Should statements are harsh expectations that are unlikely to be met. It's a form of criticism, and criticism rarely helps. This thought can diminish your self-esteem and raise your anxiety level, which of course affects the relationship. At the same time, if you have these unrealistic expectations for your partner, that can lead them to feel invalidated. Some examples are, when I tell her I need her, she should take off work early. Or, we shouldn't have conflicts if we really love each other. Or, I feel like I sacrifice a lot, so my partner should do the same.
Number 6, mind reading. Do you ever assume you know what's going on in someone else's head? That's mind reading. And while we may think we know a person good enough, the truth is we don't know what someone else is thinking unless they tell us. This could often lead you to think that other people have negative thoughts about you, even though they may not. Some examples are, he didn't pick up the call, so he's avoiding me. Or she sighed in front of me, so I must have done something wrong. Or he's been texting someone a lot lately. He must be cheating on me.
Number 7, fortune telling. As the name implies, this is when we think we know the future. We might base these ideas on past experiences. But past does not always predict future events. One bad argument does not mean all future conflicts will be bad. When you're fortune telling, you could have thoughts like, I will never have a stable relationship, or nobody will love me for who I am. I will never get over the trauma from my past relationship.
Number 8, catastrophizing or minimizing. These cognitive distortions are the two sides of the same coin. This is when we exaggerate or minimize the relative importance of things. With this thought, a minor hiccup becomes the end of the world. When you catastrophize, worries can quickly escalate because you fear the worst in many situations, despite the lack of evidence. On the other hand, an important achievement is often discarded as coincidence. Examples would be, we got into this argument, so we are over. She snapped at me, so she's gonna leave me. Or, I have to fight for love because I'm just not good enough.
Number 9, ignoring the good. This happens when we focus on relatively minor negative things instead of acknowledging all the positive things that also happen. You tend to discount and reduce any positive sides of a thing or just a whole event itself. Also, instead of acknowledging that a good result can come from your skill, determination, or smart choices, you might assume that the good result must be an accident or luck, or you could simply just be labeling it unimportant. Here are some examples. Despite the words of affirmation you get from your partner daily, you keep thinking about this one negative comment you received during that heated argument. Or even after being together for a while and feel like relationship is in a good place, you think this is just a fluke and then it won't last for a long time. Or when your partner gives you a compliment, you deflect it with a self-deprecating joke because you think there is no way you truly deserve that compliment.
Number 10, personalization. A person with this distortion believes that all negative events are their fault in some way. One of the most common errors in thinking is taking things too personally when they're not connected or caused by you at all. You may be engaging in personalization when you blame yourself for circumstances that aren't your fault or are out of your control. Here are some examples. When your partner's in a bad mood, you think that you're not good enough to make them happy. Or when your partner brings up an issue in the relationship, you think you're being blamed or attacked. Or your partner walking out of the room is the lack of love that he has for you, despite the argument and hurtful words that are happening.
Let us know down in the comments if you could relate to any of these distorted thought patterns. Now, the important thing is not to let these cognitive distortions control you. And you've got to learn how to make your thinking more flexible. We did a video about the best tool to practice flexible thinking and how to get out of the negative pattern of the same arguments happening in the relationship. So make sure to check that out. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on more tips. See you soon.